You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
So, where's Kate? That would be Middleton. But actually, that would be Catherine, Princess of Wales, to you and me. She hasn't been seen in public for months, beyond a brief glimpse of a shadow in a car. And look, normally, who cares? She announced that she's taking some time off of work to deal with a health issue, right? Nothing to see here. Except, so many people are seeing so many things.
Its release should have calmed the speculation about the royals' health and whereabouts. But a new photo of Princess Kate has instead fueled conspiracy theories after experts called it out for being doctored.
So, why I believe that Kate Middleton and Prince William are getting a divorce. This is a theory video, not a factual video.
So what are people claiming might have happened to the Princess of Wales? A certain swath of royal fans believe that Kate Middleton is, or was, in a coma.
You see what I mean? Perfectly normal stuff. Officially, the princess is recovering from abdominal surgery. Unofficially, the princess is somewhere between divorced and dead. So what the hell is going on here? And why should we care? And listen, what does all this tell us about? And I'm not trying to put too fine a point on it, but what does this tell us about the way we live right now? I'm Jordan Heath Rawlings. This is The Big Story. Patricia Treble is one of Canada's foremost experts on the royal family, and she has the Right Royalty newsletter at Substack. Hello, Patricia.
Hello, Jordan.
I'm going to ask you right up front, as we are speaking right now, where is Kate Middleton, a.k.a. Catherine, Princess of Wales? Where is she?
In all likelihood, she's at her home, Adelaide Cottage, which is a stone's throw away from Windsor Castle. And she's recovering, as she has been since leaving hospital at the end of February from major abdominal surgery. And that's it. Although that's not really all it.
Okay, so for somebody like me who doesn't generally pay attention to the royal family until a story becomes super compelling, and people who are like me, rewind for us. When did Kate first vanish from public life? And as you mentioned, the abdominal surgery, what was the full reason given at that time by the Kensington Palace press corps, I guess?
So we should say that William and Kate have their own communication staff, based, as you said, Kensington Palace, okay? So we last saw Kate in public on Christmas Day. She was with the rest of the royal family. She was at Sandringham, and she was walking to and from church. And then, like they always do, the family vanishes for the holidays. And we were expecting to see William and Kate pop back up, usually around the 10th of January when the kids are back at school and they start doing engagements. And we didn't see them. So we saw William did one engagement and then that was it. And that was unusual. We were kind of going, Normally we're getting emails, the media's getting emails about sometimes embargoed engagements that are coming up, or this is coming so we can start planning like what we're going to be doing. Nothing. And then what happened is in mid-January, we got an email saying that the day before, she had had abdominal surgery. She was going to be in hospital for up to 14 days, and that she would be then recovering for at least the next few months, and we would not see her again doing duties, royal duties on behalf of the monarch, until after Easter. And Easter this year is March 31st. So basically, the whole first quarter of the year, we're not going to see her.
That must have been some major abdominal surgery.
Well, and this is it. We don't know. And she very specifically asked in this email, she says, I realized there was a lot of interest, but please, I want to keep my personal medical information private. And of course, the rules have changed dramatically. There are very strict rules governing all this medical information. And I can understand. They're in the media spotlight so much, which I think we're going to talk about. And they just did not want to reveal it. And that, fair enough. They do not have to reveal it.
Right.
So they were in hospital. And at the same time, literally this is why this became a furor. 90 minutes later, Buckingham Palace revealed that the king was going to be going in for prostate enlargement procedure the next week. And they did it at the same hospital, cut down on security, which is very nice. And then what happened is he left hospital after that procedure, came out the front door with Queen Camilla. He's wearing a suit and tie because that man wears suits and ties, and got in a car. So everyone got pictures. Almost immediately, an email came out saying that Kate had left hospital at the same time. She was home. No pictures of her at all. Again, keeping the whole, is it two different sort of strategies? One was a little more public about what he had, encouraging, men to look for prostate enlargement issues, which a lot of men bury their heads in the sand about. Huge bump in people looking on those sites, which is great. But Kate and William took the privacy road. Now, of course, you've got the king. When they had that procedure, they found he has cancer, not prostate cancer, but another form of cancer, not revealing the type of that cancer. And he's undergoing treatments.
But nothing on Kate.
Nothing on Kate. And this is what they said back in January. We want to keep everything private. You'll see her after Easter. If anything changes, we'll let you know. Silence.
And that's where we sat for a long time. I mean, now it's March 13th. And in the absence of further information or even just a photo walking out or driving out of the hospital or whatever, what has filled that gap?
For a while, nothing. For a while, everything was kind of calm. And then what was happening was social media did what social media did. It let's face it, I call it a fetid cesspool of conspiracy theories. And they stirred up the bottom and all those theories rose to the top. And we started hearing all these theories about, well, you're not seeing Kate in public.
Hashtag, where is Kate Middleton?
Exactly.
And I want to get you as the expert, because this is where people like me who don't follow the royals first encountered this stuff. And I will start with this. One rumor is that there are huge marriage difficulties between William and Kate, and they are in the process of splitting up or maybe not splitting up, and that's why they haven't been seen together, and Kate does not want anything to do with the royal family. That's conspiracy theory one. What do we know about that?
We know nothing.
Right.
And I'm going to be honest. I mean, would you cover that with major abdominal surgery, with going into hospital for 13 days? I mean, come on. You start analyzing these things and they start falling apart. Are you getting to the Brazilian butt lift that went wrong? Because that's my favorite. I
actually was going to mention that because the timeline for a recovery from a quote-unquote BBL surgery is about the same amount of time that they announced that Kate would be out of sight for, which actually I will say doesn't seem super plausible to me, just because eventually you'll be able to tell when she shows back up, right?
The one that I love was she got her bangs trimmed. They went wrong and she's waiting for it to grow out.
That's nice and simple. That seems like you don't need to create an abdominal surgery for that, but.
And I'm going to be honest, every woman knows what that's like. You're not taking a picture of me for the next 3 months. Nope.
Okay, I have one more for you before we move on to the actual, as substantive as we're going to get here about what this says about the future of the royals and the press and all of that. One that I heard that actually sounds somewhat plausible concerning an abdominal surgery is that the surgery is related to Crohn's disease, and that kind of surgery can sometimes require you to temporarily have a colostomy bag, which obviously the royals would not want seen in public. Entirely
possible. I mean, I've got relatives who are, in the medical field, and everyone had their theories on what it could be. Somebody said maybe it's diverticulitis, in which you are cut and the recovery is very long. Somebody said kidney disease, that sort of stuff. Entirely possible. The thing about this is that the William and Kate and their circle have been incredibly closed-mouthed. They are incredibly private. And the fact that we don't know is simply just you've got a vacuum and social media will fill it.
And this week, we did, quote unquote, see Kate, a little, which is why you and I are talking now, because this took on, I was going to say a life of its own, but it's already got that, a second life of its own. A photo was posted. I'll just leave it at that. Can you explain what was in the photo and the immediate controversy that came up around it?
So we hadn't seen her. There was one very grainy paparazzi image of her and her mother in a car on a road near the Windsor estate, but nothing else. And then I had wondered, because Mother's Day in the United Kingdom was Sunday. And I thought, they don't always release photos of Kate and her kids, but if they're gonna, this is probably the year to do it, because you've got all these conspiracy theories. This is a way to just tamp everything down with a photo. Sure enough, they released a photo of Kate sitting, her kids are around her, everyone's smiling and laughing. And she says, thank you for all the best wishes and everything, wishing everyone has a nice Mother's Day. It seemed very innocuous. The photo, by the way, was taken by Prince William. She's the family photographer. She's the patron of the National Portrait Gallery in London. Like, she loves photography. She's quite well known for taking pictures. She's a good amateur photographer. William took this picture, and I'm going to say I kind of looked and went, whoa, that's a good picture. And then over the next few hours, I'm starting to see amateur photo sleuths taking a look at the photo, and even low resolution versions of the photo, the ones you can find on social media, and pointing out areas where it looks so it's been retouched, it's been manipulated, where hands are not in focus, it looks like an arm has been moved, like things like that. And I kind of went, uh-oh. And then Sunday night, within rapid succession, the 4 major news photo agencies in the world, so we're talking Getty, Agence France-Presse, Associated Press, and Reuters, issued what are called kill notices on the photo. And this is the death sentences of photos in the news industry. They pull them from their libraries, and they tell all their clients, you should not use this photo, you cannot use this photo. It has been manipulated, it violates our rules. That is a mammoth thing to do on any photo. This is a royal photo taken by a royal to stop conspiracy theories. That's one of the purposes. I reached out to a photo editor who was talking to me, and she said she wasn't as concerned about, maybe Charlotte's hand had been changed and stuff like that. But what she saw is you can clearly blow up these photos, and there's a line across the top of Kate's body where 2 images have clearly been stitched together. And she said, and that in the news industry, you cannot do that. The rules are so strict.
It's not Instagram.
And I think people need to realize that. So you've got the news rules are basically, this picture has to be original. What you see is what was taken. And the rules are so strict. Let me put it this way. Associated Press will not allow photographers to correct red eye.
Right.
It's that strict because they have to be able to trust the image. And it's not just the image of Kate and the kids. It's the image of the aftermath of a car crash or the aftermath of a bombing. They need to be able to trust the photos. They are incredibly strict. So they had no choice. They had to pull the photo.
Hello there, it's Peter Mansbridge, host of The Bridge, where we reflect on the issues of the day and how they could impact you. Politics, public health, technology. They are just some of the topics you'll hear about. Cut through the clutter and tune into The Bridge, a Sirius XM podcast available everywhere.
So the photo was pulled, and obviously the conspiracy theories picked up more steam
yes.
because this is just fuel to a fire at this point. I want to ask you a question, and to be fair, my partner Rosemary heard I was talking to you, and she has been following this saga with some gusto, I will say. And the point she made was, look, if it's not a conspiracy, the palace could end this right now with a live video of Kate sitting in the same spot she was sitting in that picture, just saying, hi, I miss you guys. I know you've been wondering. I'm doing very well. And like I said, I'll see you at Easter. See you soon. Thanks for your thoughts and prayers or whatever. So why haven't they done that?
So I think 2 things. So first of all, about 12 hours after those kill notices were issued, Kate went back onto social media and said, hey guys, sorry, a lot of amateur photographers, I experiment with editing. I did that here. Sorry for the confusion. So like she owned up.
Sure.
And we know from the metadata, because people have been looking at the metadata on this thing, we know that it went into Photoshop. The thing is, I think two things. Those two are stubborn. They do not want to be dragged in. They don't want to be forced down to do something they don't want to do. And I think they said, we won't see her till April. They didn't even have to release this photo. And this is why it's such a cell phone. They didn't have to release this photo, right? They could have just waited. They don't want to do that. And I think this comes in the difference between royalty and celebrity. So celebrity is, you need to be in the public eye all the time, right? You need to constantly be changing your image. You need to be doing this to keep, and you have a shelf life of what? Maybe 10 years? I mean, if you're lucky, even more, right? Royals are not that. Royals are a whole different thing. There's very few of them, and they're in the public eye for their entire life. And so you have to have privacy. And I think, I go back and I think, okay, what's an example of somebody who's like Kate, who we can all relate to? Taylor Swift. So she has incredible security. She has incredible privacy. And she's giving away less and less. She's doing fewer interviews, all that sort of stuff. And the microscope on her is intense.
I don't know. I mean, with all due respect to the royal family, if Taylor Swift was missing in action for 3 months, there would be all sorts of conspiracy theories around her too. And,
Absolutely.
I would guarantee you that more people around the world right now would be fascinated by this if it was Taylor Swift than if it's Kate Middleton. She's bigger.
I'm going to be honest. I'm not so sure. I mean, look at the reaction. Is on every newscast. I mean, I think they're equivalent, right? But I will say she hasn't just vanished, right?
Right.
She said she had surgery. She said she's recovering.
Yep.
She said she'll be back after Easter.
Nothing's changed technically, right?
Nothing has changed. But I think we're in this world where you want to know. We are hooked. We are on a dopamine drip of knowing everything about people we are fascinated with. And we are fascinated with her. And the fact that they will not feed our addiction, I think, is driving some people absolutely around the bend.
We want them to be reality TV, right? We want them to be the Real Housewives of Windsor Estate or whatever.
Exactly. And they are not. They are royal. Look, it is now a fleeting fancy. But I think they always think long-term. They're always thinking years, decades down the line.
It's clear that a lot of people simply don't believe the palace's story on this. As you mentioned, the whole photo thing was a complete self-own. What does this tell us about the general faith the public has in what they're getting from the monarchy, or from the monarchy's press representatives anyway?
Yeah. I mean, I think this was a cell phone very specifically for their communication staff. And I think if I was the communication staff at Buckingham Palace, which is very professional, I'd be looking going, because they have been quite open about the king's illness. So we've seen more videos of him, because of course he can't do public facing engagements. So we've seen videos of him with the prime minister. We've seen videos, Commonwealth Day, he did a video for Commonwealth Day. We see him in the state Bentley, which is a huge car, and there's lighting in it, so you can see who's in. And as he goes from Buckingham Palace, from where he works, into Clarence House, which is personal home in London while they're renovating Buckingham Palace, you can see him. Like, he wants to be seen as much as possible. And they're making this huge effort to do this. And then you've got Kensington Palace, the Prince and Princess of Wales' shop. And it's like, what the heck is going on? I mean, I called them the Keystone Cops. It was a complete cell phone. And yeah, they're going to have to rebuild trust. I think the next image is going to be scrutinized to an enormous extent. And this goes back to the fact that this photo was taken by Prince William, right? And you can understand it. You've got young kids, you've got a mother who's been ill, you want to get a really relaxed shot, so he took it. It was likely not a great shot, and she was trying to improve it, right?
She's like every woman that thinks her husband takes horrible photos of the family.
Well, but also the kids are probably fidgeting, and you know what it's like with young kids, trying to get, you have to take like 58,000 shots to get one that works, right? And they were likely doing that. And I think we can all understand that sort of thing. But in this era of manipulation, it's so easy for putting it into software. It's so easy with AI. It's so easy to do anything. You need to be very clear. And I think that kill notice really was, I would think, a sharp wake-up call to people. They have had issues before with previous photos. And these, again, are family photos that, on the Christmas card and stuff like that, where people are kind of looking at them going, skating a little on thin ice. And this time they fell through.
Given that, if, as you say, Will and Kate are not going to buy in and their stubbornness won't let them cave and give us what they want, how does the royal press team fix this? If they can't get Kate to do a video saying, "Hi, I'm okay," like, what can they do that actually makes this better? They
wait a little more than 2 weeks and then they'll appear in public. And remember, they said we'll see her after Easter. Now, here's the thing. Here's the little hiccup.
There's after Easter is anytime.
Exactly. And also the Easter holidays in Britain are after Easter. So I think, though, we have now got so much attention. I'm kind of betting that we're going to see them at Easter, which is normally at Windsor, incredibly controlled environment, right? Within the confines of Windsor Castle. We'll see them go to Easter service and then they'll vanish on their school break. And then she'll start picking up engagements again. And I think that's probably what we're going to happen. But I don't think we're going to see anything before, likely anything before. They've made their plans. And also you have to understand that a lot of royal engagements, they're planned weeks and months ahead. You have to do, run-throughs for security, so people know exactly what's happening, that sort of thing. You can spin something up really quickly if you have to, but they don't want to have to. I think is kind of the gist that I'm hearing. But I think there's been a lot of short-term damage. I mean, look, Elliot Higgins of Bellingcat, which is the most famous open source investigative team in the world, is now been pulled into debunking Kate conspiracy theories. So when you've got him involved, it's a big deal. At the same time, it's kind of a bit fun. It's light and it is a bit fluffy, to be honest.
The world is a terrible place right now, and this is fine.
Exactly. I mean, it's something you want to focus on, something where you don't, it's not life or death, right? It's a photograph with kids, and it likely kind of, wasn't that great.
After Easter is any time. How long would Kate have to stay out of the public eye before you, Patricia Treble, started believing possibly some of these conspiracy theories? Is it June? Is it August? Is it next year?
So, conspiracy theories, whatever. For me to start seriously wondering what's wrong, I would say everyone knows recovery can take a long time. You can have setbacks, right? I mean, so if there was no explanation and she didn't appear by, I would say, about the third week, like we're towards the end of April, that's when you start getting like, what the heck is going on? I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think...
You don't think there's anything going on other than what they've said?
I don't know. And so I'm going to accept it now for what they said. I don't think anyone spends 13 days in hospital for chuckles and laughs. She had a medical issue and there's a recovery. And anyone who knows anything about surgery, stuff like that, you add buffers, right? So you're like, okay, if I'm going to have a big event and I've got to plan it and I'm going to have hernia surgery here, I'm going to allow myself 2 or 3 extra weeks, right? I'm going to give myself a buffer. And I think that's what they've done to make it really comfortable, because the intensity of the spotlight of that first time she's in public, I mean, think about it. If she doesn't crouch down and, to eye level with the child and pick flowers, everyone's going to go crazy. I mean, the intensity is now going to be such, and it was always going to be that way. And I think now it's even, the sun bright. Everything is going to have to go well. But I think a big lesson learned was the photo. That is something that I think is going to have to be absorbed within the communication staff of Kensington Palace.
We will see. And obviously, whatever's going on, Kate Middleton is a person, and we wish her well. Patricia, thanks so much for this.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
Patricia Treble, author of the Right Royalty newsletter, which you can find on Substack. And that was the big story. Every once in a while, we cover the royals on this podcast, apparently. But that was fun. And if you have feedback wondering why we're covering the royals or thanking us for covering this mystery, I don't know what to call it, you can send it to us, good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter. The way to get in touch with us, as always, is via email at hello@thebigstorypodcast.ca or by calling us and leaving a voicemail. That number is 416-935-5935. You can listen to The Big Story in absolutely every podcast player, and you can ask for it on absolutely any smart speaker by simply saying, "Play The Big Story Podcast." Thanks for listening. I'm Jordan Heath Rawlings. We'll talk tomorrow.
Hello there, it's Peter Mansbridge, host of The Bridge, where we reflect on the issues of the day and how they could impact you. Politics, public health, technology, they are just some of the topics you'll hear about. Cut through the clutter and tune into The Bridge, a Sirius XM podcast available everywhere.